They said I had given up. They thought I quit something big to chase something small. They stopped asking me questions and started telling my story for me. But the truth was never loud. It was just waiting for the right moment to be told. If you believe in quiet strength and in stories that grow slowly but hit deep, subscribe to the channel, because sometimes the most powerful journeys are the ones no one saw. My name is Olivia Reed. I am 31 years old. I live in a small apartment above a bookstore in Seattle. I make my own coffee and pay my own bills. And apparently, I am still the family disappointment. I was supposed to become a doctor, the smart one, the overachiever, the golden child. I dropped out of medical school in my second year. It was not drugs, drama, or scandal, just burnout, pure and simple. The kind that hollows you out from the inside. No one noticed because I still smiled at Christmas dinner. When I left, my father did not speak to me for months. My mother cried into a napkin and told everyone I was just taking a break. My younger brother Ryan moved on quietly. He got a finance degree, a corner office, and a fiancé from a nice family, the whole package. And me, I started teaching basic technology to senior citizens in my neighborhood. For money, for my sanity, for something to fill my days. At first, it felt like failure. Then it began to feel like purpose. What started as one-on-one lessons in coffee shops grew into group classes at the library, then webinars, and finally, a prototype for an online platform. I called it Elderbright. Its simple mission: help people over 60 stay connected in a digital world that keeps trying to leave them behind. We taught email, video calls, online banking, digital safety, and how to spot fake news before it reaches every ant on Facebook. It was not flashy. It was not a unicorn startup, but it was working. That week I did a video call with Mrs. Givens, 83 years old, with 2 hip replacements and plenty of sass. It took us 40 minutes to set up her Zoom microphone. She called me darling and muttered, "This machine hates me." But when it finally worked and she saw her son's face on screen, he lived 3 states away, she gasped, covered her mouth with her hand, and whispered, "You brought my baby into my living room." Moments like that don't make headlines, but they change lives. That's why I built Elderbright. Within 3 years, we had over 80,000 active users, several partnerships with state programs, and a queue of nonprofits begging us to bring Elderbright to their communities. We were changing lives, one patient tutorial at a time. But to my family, I was just doing some online teaching thing. They never asked how it was going. They never once said they were proud. In their eyes, I had stepped off the golden path and wandered into the woods. It did not matter that I had built the path myself and lit the way for others to follow. Last month, at Sunday dinner, my mother served roast beef and casually told Ryan's fiancé, Ryan's always been the focused one. Olivia, well, she's more of a free spirit. I smiled politely, cut my carrots, and said nothing. Because that's what disappointments do. We stay quiet. We stay polite, we stay invisible. But something was about to change, and it would all begin with a name I hadn't heard in years, spoken by someone who had no idea who I really was not yet. The irony was sharp. I could build a platform for thousands of strangers to feel seen, but I could not get my own family to ask me a single real question. At Elderbright, we were updating our onboarding process to make it even simpler for older users who had never touched a keyboard. I had just finished a user test with a 76-year-old man who cried when he managed to FaceTime his granddaughter for the first time. He kept saying, "She thought I was gone. Now she can see I'm still here." That moment lit me up more than any funding announcement ever had. But when I mentioned it at a family dinner that week, my dad just grunted, "Teaching old folks to click buttons, real noble work." Ryan chuckled under his breath. I let it slide. They did not know that clicking buttons had become a full educational platform built on adaptive user experience principles. With a custom accessibility framework for screen readers, motor skill tracking, and voice command optimization. They did not know our monthly newsletter had a 78% open rate, that we were being tested in 3 state community centers, or that my small project was changing more lives each week than most board meetings did in a year, because I never told them. Because when someone labels you a failure, you either fight to tear the label off or you wear it quietly while building something too. Big to ignore. 2 weeks before Ryan's engagement party, my inbox pinged. The subject line read, Amanda C. testimonial submission. Amanda was Ryan's fiancée. I clicked. It was a 90-second video sent through our Stories That Shine campaign, where users or their families share how Elder Bright helped them. In it, Amanda sat in a softly lit living room, holding the hand of a smiling older woman. This is my grandma Margaret, she said. She lost my grandpa last spring, and it was a really lonely time. But thanks to Elder Bright, she could stay in touch with all of us via video call every week and learn how to use online grocery apps. It gave her back her confidence and gave us back her eyebrows. Amanda did not know who I was or connect the name. She just knew that Elder Bright helped her family. I watched the video twice, then a third time. At the end, her grandmother looked straight into the camera and said, "Thank you, Olivia. You helped me feel human again." That night, my mother called. "Don't forget the engagement dinner is Saturday. We want everything perfect." I wasn't sure if I should go, I said. "Why wouldn't you?" she asked too quickly. "Because I'm not sure I belong." A long silence. Then finally, "Okay. Just don't talk about your website thing too much, got it?" "No mention of buttons," I said. She did not catch the sarcasm. I hung up and stared out my window at Seattle's blinking lights in the rain. My mother had no idea that her future daughter-in-law had thanked me so deeply for giving her own grandmother a way to feel connected again. And I had no plan to tell them not yet, because sometimes it's better to let the truth introduce itself. The week of the engagement party, I did not touch the RSVP card. I knew they expected me to show up, smile politely, and stay in the corner. Like a faded photograph still there but easy to overlook. I told myself I'd go for Amanda's grandmother, who said I made her feel human again, not for my family. A week before the party, at a cousin's barbecue, someone asked me, "So they were still talking about my little internet thing?" I smiled, nodded, and bit my tongue. My mom stood right there and didn't correct them. She didn't say I had staff, or users, or grants. She just offered more potato salad, and I stood there holding a paper plate, pretending I wasn't shrinking. Never again for them, at the office. We were finalizing a partnership with the Washington State Library System. Elder Bright would be piloted in 12 rural branches places, where seniors had more goats than internet. It was real, important work. Meanwhile at home, my mother was choosing napkin colors, and emailing me photo references for dresses. With a note, "No black, no pantsuits. Something feminine this time." I stared at the message as if it had teeth. My mother loved control, especially over women who refused to be controlled. On Friday, the day before the party, I stopped by a coffee shop to meet our new intern, Jamie. She was 19, brilliant, and full of questions about UX for older people. While we were chatting, a woman at the next table leaned over and said, "Excuse me, are you Olivia Reed from Elder Bright?" I blinked yes. She smiled. "My dad's been using your platform for months. He sends me memes now, memes." I didn't even know he knew what a meme was. Jamie looked at me like I'd grown a cape. "You didn't tell me people recognize you." "They usually don't," I said. But the truth was, it was starting more emails, more testimonials, a podcast invite, a quiet buzz. Outside my family's narrow lens, I wasn't invisible. I was rising. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying Amanda's video in my head, the way she looked at her grandmother, the sincerity in her voice. She didn't know me personally, but she had trusted something I built, something born from pain, failure, and reinvention. That trust was pure, earned, undeniably. The love I kept trying to earn from people who refused to see me. At 3 a.m., I got up and pulled out a dress, no black, no pantsuit, dark emerald green, sleeveless, with clean lines, elegant and simple. Mine. I put Amanda's testimonial video on a USB drive, not to show, just to carry. A quiet reminder that sometimes the waves we create go farther than we ever imagined, reaching people we've never met, and pulling back those who thought we'd disappeared. The restaurant was glass and gold, with dim lighting on purpose and bread served with truffle butter. I arrived 10 minutes early, I always do. My mother looked surprised. "Oh, you came. You asked me to," I said, well, I'm glad she wasn't. I could see it in her eyes, the tight smile, the glance at my dress, as if it was one shade too bold, 1 inch too defiant. I took my seat at the end of the table, far enough to be out of focus, just how they liked it. Ryan and Amanda arrived 15 minutes later, beaming. Amanda hugged everyone, including me, but she didn't say much, didn't recognize me yet. The evening went on with speeches and champagne toasts. Ryan's boss spoke about investments. Amanda's father spoke about legacy and loyalty. I nodded along, invisible again until dessert. Then Amanda leaned over, curious, and asked Olivia, "What do you do again?" The room went quiet. My mother stiffened. I sipped water. I run a digital literacy platform for older adults. Wait like online classes. More like adaptive systems for long-term engagement. We specialize in accessibility tech screen. Readers, large print navigation, speech input. Amanda blinked. What's it called, Elderbright? She stared at me, eyes wide. No way you're Elderbright. I nodded. I founded it. She covered her mouth, looked at Ryan, then back. At me, you're Olivia Reed, the founder, the face of Elderbright Stories That Shine campaign. The room stopped breathing. My mother's fork paused mid-air. Then Amanda's grandmother spoke. You helped me video call our family every Sunday. You gave us more time with her. I submitted a video to your campaign. I smiled gently. I know I saw it. It meant a lot. Amanda stood up. Why didn't you say anything? I shrugged. It wasn't the right time. She turned to everyone. You need to understand, this woman built a national program from scratch. She's been on NPR and Forbes. She's changing lives, Aunt Linda gasped. Uncle Joe cleared his throat. My father looked down at his wine. My mother opened her mouth, then closed it. Amanda kept talking. I can't believe I'm meeting you. You helped my family. My grandma never felt smart until she used her sight. She sat quietly, still shocked. Ryan leaned in. I didn't know. You never asked. I spoke calmly. I said nothing. Silence followed, but this time it wasn't cold. It was awe. The rest of the night felt different. People whispered toward me, not behind my back. The toasts praised my work. My mother sat stiff, as if she had to rewrite her story on the spot. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't a footnote. I was the headline. Not because I demanded it or interrupted, but because the truth walked in and refused to stay quiet. The next morning, I woke with a quiet feeling in my chest. It wasn't pride or revenge. It was something deeper, like a door closing gently. My phone buzzed, a message from Ryan. I'm sorry I never asked. Simple. No excuses. No emojis. I stared at it, then turned the screen face down. That afternoon my mom called twice. I didn't answer, not out of anger, but because I didn't know what she would say. I didn't want her to make my story smaller than it was. That night I walked down to the pier. The air was crisp with salt and pine, and the world felt still, as if light was deciding how far to reach. I thought of Amanda's face, recognition mixed with respect, not for fame, but for impact and meaning. I thought of all the years I'd shrunk myself because I believed their silence meant I wasn't enough. Now I knew better. 2 days later, a handwritten letter arrived from my mother. Dear Olivia, I watched Amanda's video. I cried not because I didn't know what you built, but because I never asked. I was so focused on what you left behind, that I never saw what you were walking toward. You did what no one else in our family dared. You failed and kept going. You taught people to find their voice again, including me. Love, Mom. I read it 3 times, folded it gently, and placed it beside my desk, not displayed, just kept. This time, I didn't need proof on the wall. I was living it every day. That weekend, I gave a keynote at a local tech conference. No cameras, no national press, just 60 people in a community center with notebooks and hope. I told them the truth. I was never supposed to be here. I was supposed to be someone else. But life had other plans. And I stopped arguing. When they stood to applaud, I didn't cry. But I did smile, the kind that reaches your spine and says, I made it. And I didn't need their permission. 3 months later, Amanda invited me to lunch, not as Ryan's sister, but as Olivia, the founder who built something from ashes and called it beautiful. We met at a sunny cafe in Capitol Hill. She slid her notebook toward me. There's a foundation that funds social impact startups, especially led by women. I showed them your work. If you're ready to scale, I think they can help. I didn't blink. You don't owe me anything, she said. This is about belief. You gave something to my grandmother. I couldn't. I want to see where else your light can reach. For once, I let someone believe in me without flinching. That summer, Elderbright launched its first nationwide campaign, Digital Dignity. We held workshops in public libraries, set up training in community centers, and offered free programs for veterans and underserved seniors. We reached 250,000 users. I got an email from a 92-year-old in Montana. Your platform helped me apply for a passport online. I'm flying to see my great-granddaughter next month. My first flight ever. Thank you for giving me this chance. I kept that message as a reminder. Every quiet effort matters. At Ryan and Amanda's wedding, I wore a navy jumpsuit. No one blinked. My mother introduced me as her daughter, Olivia, who runs a national nonprofit. The label wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Later she pulled me aside with a glass of wine. You always walked your own way, she said. I thought that meant you were lost. Now I see you were just ahead. We didn't hug, but we stood side by side longer than ever before. That felt enough. That night, under fairy lights, Ryan approached me. Amanda tells me you'll speak at Google next month. True. You gonna brag about being my sister? He asked. I laughed. You gonna brag about being mine? He grinned. The past lost its hold. 2 weeks later, I sent a small package to Ryan and Amanda. A handwritten note and a USB drive with a custom version of Elderbright for the assisted living home where Amanda's grandmother lived. Lifetime access, no fees. Full support, with a note. Some connections outlive misunderstanding. Thanks for helping mine find her voice. Amanda called the next morning, speechless with tears. You didn't have to, she whispered. I know, I smiled. That's why I did. Back home, I taped a quote to my fridge. They'll call you a failure until one day they ask how you did it. No signature, no bitterness, just truth. Beneath it, my reflection in the fridge door, smiling and solid, because this time the light wasn't from anyone else. It was mine, all along. Where are you watching from today? I'd love to know what part of the world you're in, and if this story moved you. Leave a comment below. You never know who needs to read your words. If this spoke to you, and you believe in quiet victories, personal growth, and stories that matter, subscribe to the channel. There's so much more ahead, and I'd be honored to share it with you. Thank you for being here. Until next time, stay grounded, stay kind, and remember, your story is still unfolding.